stopped the Jazz and the Thunder game. Now, I'm not saying that what I'm about to say is fact, but we're hearing rumors that apparently Rudy Gobert, he thought it was a joke. I guess he thought it was funny. During the post game, I believe, he started touching mics and touching everything in sight, and he got told that Rudy Gobert was sick, but I guess they were late to react. I don't really know what happened. Right now, they're saying the game has been postponed due to unforeseen circumstances, so we don't really know what it is. We can speculate. Right now, as an NBA fan base, people are blaming Rudy Gobert because he knows how high the stakes are right now with this virus going around. He knows it. So by him making this little joke, or by him touching every single mic and then him getting sick, he might have gotten sick by anything. He could have caught a cold that's not the virus. He could have gotten sick by literally anything that's not even made.
The fans here in the arena don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on. And so, as soon as we get any kind of information, we will certainly pass it along.
The game tonight has been postponed. You are all safe. And take your time in leaving the arena tonight and do so in an orderly fashion. Thank you for coming out.
The Ivy League announced Tuesday that it's canceled both its men's and women's postseason basketball tournaments, becoming the first NCAA conference to make the move in response to the coronavirus outbreak. Yale will go to the men's tournament. Princeton will go to the women's tournament as regular season champions. And obviously, both of them would have gotten NCAA bids. Yale, where I grew up, New Haven,
right,
and then Princeton in New Jersey, very close to us. This is pretty scary stuff, and also concerning with March Madness right around the corner, how this is going to be handled.
I try not to be fearful. I try to just live normally and whatever. But if y'all recall, you know, almost every single time I've been sick over the last several years, when I came down with the flu or something like that, it almost always is after I shake somebody's sweaty hands. It never fails.
I mean,
because it is. Because you know when I shake somebody's hands and it feels like a sponge, I almost want to hit them because it's just nasty. It's just nasty. Okay, it's just the truth. And it happens to me. It happens to me. It's happened to me quite a few times. I will tell you still, I try to just live normal and not worry about things. This is the first time that I've been worried like this, because for leagues to be canceling games, for players to be approached about playing in front of empty stadiums and stuff like that. Listen, this is not a joke.
No.
It is not a joke, and somebody needs to figure something out because it is getting a little bit scary.
Yeah, the coronavirus, the reports are that it's at least 10 times as deadly as the flu, but likely more than that from the latest information coming out.
That is correct.
So it's a serious thing, obviously. Here's what, you know how like non-essential travel is being...
What he's about to share here is by far the most important thing you will hear in sports today. There was a conference call amongst the owners. Let's talk about it.
Very rare to have a conference call like this. Also potentially historic, because one of the things about this I've been told, everything is on the table. Any option that you want to bring up, whether it comes to suspending play, whether it comes to moving fans from arenas, whether it comes to relocating games to neutral sites, all of that stuff is possible. The second thing that I think is key, the NBA is making decisions with the player safety number one. Because they want to protect their players, of course. But if a player were to be diagnosed with coronavirus, my feel is that the league would have to suspend operations. So they want to protect the players, protect that situation, but there's so many moving parts here, including local governments. If the governments make this inevitable, where they say you can't, like they did have done in San Jose, it's going to be taken out of the owner's hands, and they have to come up with an action plan, and they have to decide what that's going to be today.
And so who is leading this? You were telling us in the meeting earlier that there are, I don't want to say dissenting voices, but there is some debate as to whether it is the league that should be making these decisions or they should just rely on government to make decisions.
The league has tried hard to get a consensus, and the difficulty has been they can't get it because there's no action plan here. They didn't develop this. They can't say, well, we did this back in 1987 or what have you. It's all new. And the issues that are in front of them are safety, absolutely. But two, revenue. That has to be considered. The concept that the league would potentially play playoff games without fans would be hundreds of millions of dollars in risk revenue that could, frankly, collapse the salary cap next year because all of those numbers have been computed in. These are things that are the second and third level decisions that come down the line, but have to be discussed so they have an action plan going forward. Sports in the NBA is probably going to be different going forward and in the very short-term future.
And it's as soon as by the end of this day, I think it's important to continue to point that out. You told us something in our meeting this morning that I'm sure many people didn't know. I didn't know it. How did China react to this in January?
Yeah, and I think that's somewhat instructive. In China, when this became a major issue in January, they shut the Chinese Basketball Association down. They told everybody to go home, including a lot of players who are Americans and Canadian players, and they have not done anything in 2 months. And they are just now beginning the process of having the players come back with the idea that they could restart the season in early April. That is something that the NBA is going to have to take a look at and study, because just in Los Angeles alone, the playoff games that would potentially would be worth over $100 million with the Lakers and Clippers just in those playoff revenue. And I realize it's not all about revenue, it's about safety, but the owners at some point have to make a judgment here. And those are the things that are going to be discussed today and over the next 2 days.
Matt, you've been in touch with current players. What are they saying about this?
I was at Draymond Green's birthday party this weekend, and it wasn't even a topic of discussion. Guys aren't worried about it. It's not something that's being talked about. Some people think it's an overreaction. You know, you hear a lot of different conflicting reports where, you know, who's susceptible to get it, who's not susceptible to get it. But overall, I think I'm along the same lines as LeBron. To have to play in front of an empty arena would hopefully be the last possible option. I think the quality of play would be down. I think the excitement would be down. I mean, at this point in the season, you need some kind of motivation to get going. And if you're playing in a 30,000 empty seat arena, where's the motivation?
Well, if I said your money was going to potentially be down next year because of it too, does that have any effect?
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, I mean, like I said, we want to put on a show for our fans, for our family, and for our teammates, and taking the fans away is a huge part of what we do it for.
I asked this question seriously. As a player, if you were an active player right now, and they gave you the option between playing games in empty arenas or actually halting the season,
I would rather wait.
You would rather not play?
I think a majority of the players would just rather wait until we figure out exactly what's going on.
I think it's important to realize that there are two separate things going here. There is the virus, which has, you know, many people paying attention to it, government and doctors, and then there is the reaction to the virus. They are two separate things. They're related, but they're separate.
Yeah.
And if you're looking at what's happening, Greeny just read all of these things, all of these people, all these leagues that are changing their operations. The NBA is going to be changing their operations effective immediately. That is not under debate. That's going to happen. It's just the extent of what their operation change is going to be.
And the complicated, I'm sorry, but the complicated part, guys, we're just going to stay with this, okay? The complicated part of this is that you pointed out earlier, there is no handbook to this, which means there is no end date. I've had people tell me, again, I'm not, the last thing anyone should be doing is speculating about this, but there are people who will tell you that this is something that is going to stretch well beyond sports and in the world of business, well into the fall. So the NBA, if it were to suspend operations now, it's not much.